we are observing Purushotam VRATA. Bhagavan Shri Krishna said to Narayan in front of excrement, Aham etair yata loke pratitah Purushottama tathayam api lokeshu pratitah Purushottama asmai samarpitah sarve ye gunamai samstita mat sadrishyam upagamya masanamadipo bhavet jagat pujyo jagat bandhyo masoyam tu bhavishyati sarve masak sakamas chanish kamoyam maya krita akamah sarva kamo va yo dhima samprapujayet karmani bhasmasat kritva mam evaishyati asankshayam kadachin mama bhaktanam aparadeti ganyate Purushottama bhaktanam na parada kadachana. Ya etasmin mahamura japa danadi varjitaha sat karma snan rahita devatirtha dvija dvishaha. Jayante durbhaga dushtah para bhagyopajivana na kadachit sukham teshan swapna pishasha shringavat. Yena ham archito bhaktyamassasmin purushottame Dhan putra sukham bhunktva paschat goloka vasam bhag. Ramapati, that is Narayan, just as I am celebrated in this world by the name Purushottam, similarly, this Adimas too will be renowned in the world by the name Purushottam. Now I offer all my qualities to this month. Becoming like me from today onwards, this Adimas is the monarch of all the other months, and is the most worshipable and most adored in the world. All other months are Sakama, that is, they will grant worldly desires. This month, however, is Nishkama. Those who worship this month, either without any desires or with all types of desires, will have all their karmas burned. Then they will achieve me. My bhaktas sometimes commit offenses, but in this Purushottam month, they will be protected from committing any offense. In this Adimas, those greatly foolish persons who neglect to perform auspicious activities, such as japa, giving in charity, visiting and bathing at the holy places, and who are envious of the Dvijas are deemed wicked, unfortunate, and living at the cost of others. Thus, they will not attain ascent of happiness even in their dreams. Conversely, those who are filled with bhakti will take advantage of this Purushottam month to perform archan to me. After enjoying worldly happiness such as wealth, sons, and so on, they will eventually attain residence in Goloka. Residence in Goloka is eternal welfare, eternal benefit. Then we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Verse 33 today. Esham tu bhagya mahimachyuta tavat astam ekadashaiva hi vayam bata bhuri bhaga etat drishika chashakair asakrit pibamah sarvadayongri udaja madvamrita savam te. Yet, even though the extent of the good fortune of these residents of Vrindavan is inconceivable, we 11 presiding deities of the various senses, headed by Lord Shiva, are also most fortunate because the senses of these devotees of Vrindavan are the cups through which we repeatedly drink the nectarian, intoxicating beverage of the honey of your lotus feet. Here they didn't give any commentary. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving commentary. Inhabitants of Braja have also made us, means the demigods, most fortunate. That is the intention of this verse. Brahma prayed, what to speak of the fortune of the Brajavasis? We have also become fortunate. Who can describe it? The demigods like Shiva and I, who are the 11 deities in charge of the senses, have become most fortunate. Through the senses of the Brajavasis, we have tasted the extremely intoxicating nectar of the sweet sound of Krishna's ankle bells. Our Gurudev told, in this world we are attracted by 5 sense objects. Sound, we want to hear nice music. Then form, we want to see beautiful scenes and other beautiful girls or men or anything. Then taste, sound, touch, all this. So we are attracted by this and we die by this also. Like deer, he's very much attracted by the sweet sound. So the hunter will play that sweet sound and will catch him. He will die. Elephant is very much attached to the sense of touch. So they will find one female elephant and they will put her in front, but in between they will put some hole and grass on top or something. The elephant will not see and will fall into that pit. This is one way. Another is that she-elephant will lead him to certain area which will be fenced around, but she will know how to find the way out because she was trained. But elephant will not, so they will catch him in this way. He will die or be caught. And fish is very much attracted to fragrance. Will go for that food on the bait and will be caught. And insects, they are very much attached to sight. So they will see some fire, light, and they will be very much attracted and they will enter there, they will die. And taste. This is also fish. By fragrance and by taste, they cannot control, so they will be caught. So these animals, they are, because of one sense which is very strong in them, they will be destroyed. But human being, we are attracted by all this. So how we can survive? But there is Madan Mohan. He is attracting the Cupid also. So if one gets contact with Madan Mohan, then he can get all this in relation to Krishna. If he will see Krishna, then he will not be attracted to any worldly form anymore and get the sweet touch of Krishna, like Prahlad. That is transcendental touch. And transcendental sound, like here it is mentioned, ankle bells. That is so sweet, you will be fully attracted. You cannot get away. So all this, what we're experiencing here in perverted reflection, is there in original form. But that is blissful and there is no reaction. Here we are exploiting, there we are serving, and there we are getting fulfillment. Here we are getting suffering at the end. That is why that Katha Upanishad verse is there, Shreyascha Preyash, that verse. And also Krishna says in Gita, path of worldly enjoyment and path of eternal welfare. These two paths, Shreya and Preya, they are possible for human beings, not for other species. Human beings, those who are wise, they will accept path of eternal welfare, knowing that that path of pleasure is the cause of bondage and cause of suffering, eventually frustration. Path of eternal welfare is the cause of emancipation and absolute bliss, but there is one difficulty. Path of sensuous enjoyment. In the beginning, it is like nectar. You enjoy, but consequence will be poison. But path of eternal welfare, in the beginning, it is like poison because you have to restrict your senses and restrict your mind. Should give up these things and engage yourself in the service of Krishna, then ultimate result will be nectar, but there will be poison because we have to restrict. But when one will follow this path with the encouragement of pure devotees and Shastra, then he will get in touch with transcendental Madan Mohan. Then all senses will get full fulfillment in relation to him. Your eyes, ears, touch, tongue, smell, everything will be fully satisfied. So those who are wise human beings, they accept the path of eternal welfare. But Gurudev told, if you will try to get a vote on it, you will lose brutally in this world. Which path should be followed? Because 999 persons or even more out of 1,000, means 99.9% or even more, they are supporters of hedonism. Sense pleasure is the goal of life. Anyhow, you have to get it by stealing. Immoral way, moral way, anyway, but that is the only thing. So you will brutally lose if you want quantity. If you want to vote, no. There are very few persons in this world, very few, who by their past sukriti will be able to accept path of eternal welfare. And then also it is a struggle, it is fight. Many may be attracted and they may want to do, but it is a long way and not easy way. And we may slip, we may go down, be degraded, or if any offense or like this. So it is not always smooth, but some will go smoothly and quickly. Depends on their power of their sukriti and their karma, what is there. So, but those who are wise persons, they will understand this is the only path worth following, because we all want to be happy, and there is no other way to be permanently and fully happy other than this, to come to your natural position. So there are many levels of practitioners. So practitioners, they should, under the guidance of bona fide guru who has realization, who is experienced, they should follow this process, because not all are same. So they will have different regulations, different progressive steps, and like this. what is good for one may not be good for another if he is on further advancement like this. And if someone tries to follow something which is beyond his capacity, then also he will be frustrated. So bona fide guru is necessary to guide us. Then gradually we can come to the nectar. So here Brahma is saying through the senses of the Brajavasis, because this is in this world 11 senses, they have presiding deities, they are controlling. So they are also getting share. That is in Upanishad and other Shastra, Bhagavatam also. So here also, but this is in Lila, because all demigods, they have two aspects. So in Lila also, they are transcendental demigods. So they are also tasting the nectar through the senses of Brajavasis. They are getting share. Here Brahma is saying, through the senses of the Brajavasis, we have tasted the extremely intoxicating nectar of the sweet sound of Krishna's ankle bells. In this way, Brahma expresses his determination to see, hear, touch, taste, smell, sing about, and massage the Lord. Besides the 10 senses, there is mind, intelligence, false ego, consciousness, that is chitta, and their presiding deities. Of these 14, the genital and anus are rejected as lowly. Vasudeva Krishna is the presiding deity of consciousness. Including these three, lives the 11 senses and their presiding deities. Therefore, Brahma prays, we, the 11 presiding deities of the senses, are experiencing Krishna's sweetness through the 11 senses of the inhabitants of Braja. Yes, so it is very difficult, but path of eternal welfare is beneficial. So, and you cannot expect quantity in this world, and you should not rely on quantity. If there will be so many people, then I will do. No, you have to rely on yourself only. You can rely only on yourself. Those who are advanced devotees, pure devotees, and those who are serious for bhajan, they may give us help when they are available. But if not, then alone we have to do also individually with the help of Shastra and recordings and remembrance of what Gurudev said. Then we can progress. But if we go for sense enjoyment, then we will lose. Ultimately, we will be frustrated. Something else should be considered here. The sun, moon, demigods, men, animals, and all the other entities of the spiritual world are Satchit Ananda, eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. So this is what I said before. The material sun, moon, and demigods are all expansions of the spiritual prototypes. Originally they are there. And this is only perverted reflection. So they are original and they're prototypes of, means these worldly demigods, they are expansions of those. The demigods of the material realm are specifically empowered agents of the demigods of the spiritual world. The material senses cannot act independently. Only by the sanction and power of the demigods can the material senses experience material objects. But Sri Krishna's eternal associates independently experience the Lord's form and sound by their own spiritual senses without any influence of the mundane demigods. Because that is spiritual body. In this material body, these demigods are operating, but that is totally beyond this material energy. But in his enthusiasm, however, Brahma identified his power to control material intelligence with the senses of the inhabitants of Vraja. So that are spiritual demigods. Furthermore, the material senses, now here in his enthusiasm, however, Brahma identified his power to control material intelligence with the senses of the inhabitants of Vraja. He is the one who is controlling material intelligence. So here, but here I think this is the point, that from spiritual level, they are also experiencing. They are independent of these material demigods. Furthermore, the material senses enjoy the objects of the mundane world, but the presiding deities who facilitate this pleasure do not enjoy. However, without the presence of Brahma and the other presiding deities in the intelligence, mind, eyes, and nose, the senses of even those fixed in Krishna consciousness could not experience the sense objects of form or smell. This is the opinion of those who know the soul. 1 second. Again, I read. Material senses enjoy the objects of mundane world, but the presiding deities who facilitate this pleasure do not enjoy. This is in this world. However, without the presence of Brahma and the other presiding deities in the intelligence, mind, eyes, and nose, the senses of even those fixed in Krishna consciousness could not experience the sense objects of form or smell. This is the opinion of those who know the soul. Maybe further it will help. Because of their eagerness to taste the sweetness of Krishna, Brahma and others were able to experience bliss despite two faults. Though Brahma and the other presiding deities of the senses are mere instigators, karta, of the action of the senses, they took on the role of being enjoyers, bhokta. In material world, they are only karta, they only give power, but they don't enjoy. But here, they also became enjoyers. Although they are the demigods of the material senses, they took on the role of being demigods of the spiritual senses. These are the contrary actions seen in Krishna Prema. In Padyavali it says that one reaches perfection by lying and criticizing. That is in Prema, like gopis, they sometimes criticize Krishna, but that is out of love. Factually, the senses of the Krishna's eternal associates are spiritual like the Lord. So how could material demigods enter their spiritual senses? There is another meaning of the verse. That is. It seems that here, those in Krishna consciousness, here the demigods, they can get some enjoyment through them. It is not very clear to me, although they took on the role, yes, they took on the role of being demigods of the spiritual senses. These are the contrary actions seen in Krishna Prema. Yes, something which is impossible is possible. Yes. Factually, the senses of the Krishna's eternal associates are spiritual like the Lord. So how could material demigods enter their spiritual senses? Because of their eagerness to taste the sweetness of Krishna, Brahma and others were able to experience bliss despite two faults. Yes, one fault is this, that they are only karta, not bhokta, but here they also became bhokta. Yes, and another is that they are demigods of the material senses, but they took on the role of being demigods of the spiritual senses. So I think that is spiritual demigods. They are tasting this. Anyway, Brahma here now he surrendered to Krishna, and now he is tasting that bliss. There is another meaning of the verse. Sometimes a devotee will praise his own fortune out of greediness to taste Krishna's sweetness. The good fortune of the inhabitants of Vraja is comparable. But we 10 demigods are very fortunate. Why? Then, touching his finger to his senses, Brahma continued, Hey Krishna, with our senses we also experience your beauty and sweetness as you leave Vraja to herd the calves. Yes, this is after surrendering, then he can get that bliss of seeing Krishna's beauty and sweetness. Next verse. Tad bhuri bhagyam iha janma kim api atavyam yad gokulepi katamangri rajo bhishekam yad jivitam tu nikhilam bhagavan mukundas twadyapi yad padaraja shruti mrigyam eva. My greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth, whatever, in this forest of Gokul and have my head bathed by the dust falling from the lotus feet of any of its residents. Their entire life and soul is the supreme personality of Godhead, Mukunda, the dust of whose lotus feet is still being searched for in the Vedic mantras. By Srila Sai Maharaja's disciples. This verse indicates that Lord Brahma desires to take birth even as the smallest blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that the holy residents of the Lord's abode may walk upon his head and bless him with the dust of their feet. Being realistic, Lord Brahma does not aspire to directly achieve the dust of Lord Krishna's feet. Rather, he aspires for the mercy of the Lord's devotees. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Brahma is willing to take birth even as a stone in a paved footpath in the Lord's abode. Since Brahma is the creator of the entire universe, we can just imagine the glorious position of the residents of Vrindavan. Stone in Vrindavan is also conscious being. They are all Shantarasa devotees. They serve Krishna. They are not material. They are conscious being, but in the form of stone. The Lord's devotees achieve their exalted position by unalloyed devotion and love. One cannot achieve such spiritual opulence by any puffed up material process of personal improvement. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada reveals the mind of Brahma as follows. But if I am not so fortunate to take birth within the forest of Vrindavan, I beg to be allowed to take birth outside the immediate area of Vrindavan, so that when the devotees go out, they will walk over me. Even that would be a great fortune for me. I am just aspiring for a birth in which I will be smeared by the dust of the devotees' feet. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. I have given up my control of the universe and the quest for future liberation. Brahma saying. But now, how can I get the dust of the feet of the inhabitants of Braja? Thinking thus, Brahma speaks with certainty. My control of the universe, that is like karma. And liberation is Gyan. So I gave up that. But now, how can I get, means praying, how can I get the dust of the feet of the inhabitants of Braja? Thinking thus, Brahma speaks with certainty. We are singing that song of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Shuddha Bhakata Charanarenu, Bhajanaya Anukul. Charanarenu means dust from the lotus feet of Shuddha Bhakta, pure devotee. That will give us devotion. So Brahma now gave up karma and jnana and is praying for the dust of the lotus feet of devotees. Then he can get devotion and bliss of devotion. Next verse. Esham ghosha nivasinam uta bhavan kim deva rateti nash cheto vishwa phalat phalam tvat aparam kutrapi ayan muhyati sat veshat iva putanapi sakula tvam eva devapita yad dhamartha suhrit priyatma tanaya prana shayas tvat krite. My mind becomes bewildered just trying to think of what reward other than you could be found anywhere. You are the embodiment of all benedictions which you bestow upon these residents of the cowherd community of Vrindavan. You have already arranged to give yourself to Putana and her family members in exchange for her disguising herself as a devotee. So what is left for you to give these devotees of Vrindavan, whose homes, wealth, friends, their relations, bodies, children, and very lives and hearts are all dedicated only to you. Here they are not giving any commentary. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments. Here Brahma may ask, O Lord, perhaps you do not want to clearly say if I may attain the dust of the feet of inhabitants of Braja or not. Well then, please answer one other question that is on my mind. What reward will you give the residents of Braja? Krishna replied, Brahma, though you know all the truths of the Vedas, can't you understand the answer? Brahma said, our minds are bewildered about this. By using the plural form of Nash means our, Brahma means not only my heart, but also the hearts of Shiva, the four Kumaras, Narada, and all the wise philosophers are bewildered. Then Krishna says, exactly what is the state of your minds? Brahma replies, although with great intelligence we searched in all times and places, our minds have become bewildered trying to think of what type of reward you could give them. There is no reward superior to you, and you have already given yourself eternally to the Brajavasis as their son and other intimate loving relationships. If something better than you existed, then you would have given it to the people of Braja. However, no such thing exists. That is why our minds are now bewildered. Krishna says, O Brahma, you are really ignorant of the truth. Knowing that the Brajavasis would manifest such astonishing, spontaneous love for me, I have in advance given myself to them as their son, friend, or lover, and they are satisfied with this. They are having this relationship with Krishna. Others may be grateful for gifts that have already been given, but I am grateful for gifts that will be given in the future, and I reciprocate with these gifts even before they are given. Then Brahma further says, that is true, my Lord. You are certainly doing what is proper. But though Putana was sinful, just by imitating a devotee, she and all her family attained you personally. You know, Putana wanted to kill Krishna, disguising herself as a nurse. But Krishna killed her, and because she outwardly appeared like a devotee, he also gave her that service as a wet nurse in Golok Vrindavan, and all her family, because they related to her. So if Krishna can give such benefit to such a person, then Brahma here saying, but the inhabitants of Braja, who out of great affection gave up all attachments such as house, wealth, friends, pleasurable objects, body and mind for you, also attained you. First you gave yourself to the degraded sinner Putana, and then you gave yourself to the Brajavasis, who are the exalted crash jewels of all saintly persons. Since you have already given yourself to Putana, you cannot rightly give yourself again as a gift to someone else. In essence, this is highly improper. Therefore, you are now in debt to the residents of Braja. Brahma communicated this message by the movements of his nose, eyes, eyebrows, and neck. We start this verse tomorrow. Yes, we will read this verse tomorrow. Tomorrow our program will be at 10 a.m. Slovenian time, because tomorrow we are having sannyasi guests here, and in the evening we'll have program. So in order to keep continuity of Purushotam VRATA, we'll have at 10 a.m. Only I will read about Purushotam month, the glories, and one verse of Brahmastava. And then on Friday, we will continue as usual. And that Jagannath Ashtaka and Chauragragana Purushashtakam and mantra, you have to do at your own suitable time.